This is the famous Imli tree, which means the tamarind tree, called Imlitala. And we're told that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would come here and sit beneath this tree and taking Krishna Nam and reflecting upon their pastimes in Vrindavan from long ago, and also reflecting upon that moment when he made the decision to descend as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Radha Bhavaduti Subolita, enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radha-rani, how that came to him. But before we speak about that, I'd like to say this, we spoke a little bit yesterday, Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, this favorite disciple of Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, beloved by Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj especially. And when this was established by him, Srila Guru Maharaj wrote some, how shall you say, a sloka with the encrypted date of when Mahaprabhu came here. And so there's a system that the poets use. It's not straightforward. You have to know how to decrypt what is given there. It's very common in great kavis in their writings. So the slokas on the wall. And at the time, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he's very young. We know he joined at 17, but had some special capacity. And anyway, at that time, to help support the Mat, he was leading, like, what would we say, Parikrama or Badrinath, what do you call that? The Yatra. Like where you go to Badrinath for Badrinath Darsh in the Himalayas. And to this day, people are still doing that. And it's one of the Char Dhams, the four special Dhams in India, and has quite a history. Veda Vyas, still there, and Madhva went, Shankar charged the Pandavas. So Gurudev would take a group of parikramis, of people on pilgrimage, to there, and they would stop here, coming and going, and so when they returned at one point, there was a group of like senior devotees looking at Guru Maharaj's poem, the sloka, and they're unable to decrypt the date. They know it's saying when Mahaprabhu came, but they can't understand when. So remember, their senior Vaishnavas, and Govinda Maharaj, he's practically a teenager, or just coming out, very young. And they say, your Guru Maharaj wrote this, but we're a little perplexed in understanding whether or not what it says, or whether or not it's correct or not. And Govinda Maharaj's default position, what Guru Maharaj has written is perfect. We begin from there and work from that. We don't arrive at that end. We start with, it must be perfect. So how can we understand what is before us? So, and they're going, but you're just a boy, no, I can understand clearly what it says. They're like, you? Yes. Because my Guru Maharaj is perfect and I know what he's written is perfect, I can tell you the meaning. They're saying, this precocious boy, and then he points to the date and it says, Ratneshu Vidanite. And there is encrypted the date. So in the Vedic way of excuse me, encrypting dates is they use have a system like Ratna, for example. Ratna can be Pancharatna, which would be 5, or Navaratna, which would indicate 9. Then Ishu and I, that means a particular thing. Vedas, there can be Trivedi, it can mean a 3, or Char, 4. So it can be variously 4 or 3, 3 or 4, 1's 5 or 9, And so this and after they've decided what it is, they reverse them. So you have to understand that the date is given backwards. and then in this encrypted system. So, but Srila Govinda Maharaj said, see, right here it says, Ratna Vedeshu Vidanite. That means 459. So everyone was astonished. How is this boy? He's explaining what the elders cannot explain. Then we can understand why he's so favorite to Srila Goswami Maharaj. And when Guru Maharaj had settled in Navadvip and was no longer traveling and preaching, Govinda Maharaj would arrange programs, and he would go get Goswami Maharaj or Ban Maharaj or others and bring them as the guest speaker. He would arrange everything but defer to them. And we're told Goswami Maharaj's affection for Guru Maharaj was such, and the mutual affection, that they revived the Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha
Imlitala
of long ago, the great Vaishnava kings, and every year the idea is to meet, and the senior most devotees be elected the president. So Goswami Maharaj is actually senior to Guru Maharaj in a sense, but every year they would elect Guru Maharaj the president of the assembly, and then Guru Maharaj would accept the presidency and transfer it to Goswami Maharaj. And when Goswami Maharaj had Vyas Puja, always Guru Maharaj would come, and whatever was given to him, he would accept it from all his disciples, and then in the end, give it all to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So this type of love and affection is rare to be seen, but with them it was something real and substantial. So here, we know that Mahaprabhu, he told Gadadhar Pandit, who is no less than Srimati Radha-rani herself, that he cannot go to Vrindavan. He does not have permission to come here. And this is peculiar. We think, the queen of Vrindavan, Radha-rani, no, you cannot go. Why? Because what is Gadadhar, in essence, after Krishna has plundered the Bhav and Kanti, the heart and halo of Radharani, the remainder is Gadadhar. So in a way, he's saying that you won't be able to bear it. If you return to the place of our divine pastimes, you won't be able to you won't have the heart to withstand those sentiments. So in a sense, he is saving Gadadhar from that situation. But, so Mahaprabhu, when he would come here, move a little bit away, he would take the Krishna Nam and reflect upon those times in Vrindavan, where we find, just as we're on parikrama, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he and his disciples would go on the Brajamandal parikrama. And once when they were in Radha Kunda, he had a pet disciple whose name was Paramananda Prabhu. Came to him and he was like 12, 13 years old. And as they were establishing their camp there, he went out and he saw that this Maharaj of Bharatpur and his family, they were circumambulating Radha Kunda and Shama Kunda, and in the method of saying some prayer, some vandanam, then giving dandavat and moving one body length, then rising, doing that again, and that way, not just walking around, but doing dandavats. It's a type that goes back to the Goswamis. So he was very excited and returned to Srila Saraswati Thakur. He said, Prabhu, they have so much devotion to Radharani. He was surprised because he thought this type of exclusive devotion to Radharani is the hallmark of Sri Gaudiya Math and the Rupanuga line, and he was surprised to see apparently this similar type of regard in this Maharaj and his family. And Saraswati Thakur said, yes, but there is a big difference between them and us. He said, they are worshipping Radharani because she is dear to Krishna. he said, so in their conception, Krishna is in the primary position, Radharani is in the secondary position. He said, we, on the contrary, we have anything to do with Krishna and worship Krishna because he is dear to Radharani. He said, so in our conception, she is in the primary position and Krishna is in the secondary position. And although generally, those who are known as the Shaktas, or the worshippers of the goddess, like Durga Devi, Ma Kali, they're, what's the word? The anti-party or the opposition of Vaishnavas. Generally, there's some clash between them. But he surprised everyone in this instance by saying, we are Shuddha Shaktas. So the Vaishnavas generally will not refer to themselves as Shaktas, worshippers of, Devi, the goddess. He said, but we're Shuddha Shaktas. Why? The supreme, the Param Devata, the supreme Devi, Srimati Radharani, she occupies the primary position in the Rupa Nugaline conception, Krishna conception. Then as they proceed on that tour, devotees are sometimes asking questions to get some clarification of some point. So one of the senior sannyasis, as they're going around, like we will see Seva Kunj, and there's Rasa-lila here, and we hear of the Rasa-lila in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and elsewhere. And this Maharaj says to Saraswati Thakur, but we hear there that, there's, by various descriptions, millions of gopis, billions, trillions, a lot by any standard, an inconceivable number. And this is mentioned in the Ramananda Sambad, the shorthand way to get the message about the supremacy of the position of Srimati Radharani. So we're told this Rasa-lila, which is the highest section of the liberated can participate there. These inconceivably beautiful Brajagopis. It's mentioned in Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabis Tabirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalavi Goloka Eva Nivasat Akilat Mabuto Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. As Krishna expands himself, so Radharani, from Brajagopis to the Mahishi Gan, the queens of Dwarka, to the Lakshmis of Vaikuntha. So if someone has reached the stage of participating in the Rasa-lila, how inconceivably exalted they are. But so in the midst of that, we're told that there's so much singing and dancing, and one of the experts is Vishaka. So Vishaka Saki, she begins singing and dancing, and in a way that surpasses anything that's been seen up to that point. Seeing that, then Lalita. What is that?
Something unpleasant.
Okay, all right. Anyway, we deserve it.
Mercy from the...
So, then, to stay on... Lalita Saki starts singing and dancing. Right? And her singing and dancing surpasses Vishaka and everything that we've seen up to this point. So, it's getting more and more beautiful and ecstatic. But Radharani, seeing this, it awakens her Gandharva tendency. As you see, Guru Maharaj's deity, Gandharva Govinda Sundar, means Radharani, who's enchanting with her beautiful singing and dancing. So she starts singing and dancing. And this just astonishes everyone. And of course, Krishna himself. And in the midst of this, suddenly she thinks, oh, I'm being counted as one of the group. So she leaves in a huff. Some, we could say, mon, loving, upset. So, and Krishna, so in the midst of a billion gopis of inconceivable beauty, he feels that the quality of this experience has gone down. So normally, when you're dealing with numbers like a billion, Hare Krishna, if you take one from a billion, we think, well, there's not much difference there, is there? Right? But in this case, and this is the divine mathematics of the Ramananda Sambandh, by taking one, absenting one from a billion, the whole experience goes down. It's become something much less enjoyable and pleasurable to Krishna, and he's wondering, what happened? Right? Only the absence of one. This is the shorthand that Ramananda uses to point to the unparalleled glories of Srimati Radha-raman. So she leaves, and what happens? Then Krishna goes searching for her. And what does that leave in its retinue? All the remaining Brajagopis are plunged into an ocean of separation. For those who were at the Radha-raman temple this morning, remember when we were waiting for the darshan of the deities, some ladies were singing. What were they singing? The Gopi Gita. The songs of the gopis that they're feeling in separation from Krishna. That the Rasa-lila is just starting and going, and now he's gone, she's gone, he's gone, and they're perplexed. And all of these songs are coming from their hearts. And they notice that they're following the footprints to try and see who left and where have they gone. So this one, what they see is, they think, oh, one gopi, and just think of this, in the Bhagavatam, although the book is really to take us in the direction of her holy lotus feet, her name is so sacred it is not mentioned there. Guru Maharaj mentions this in one of his pranams, his sloka collection, the introduction, where he says, Yadamiya Mahima Sri Bhagavatam Katayam Pratipadam Anubhutam Apyalabdabideya Tadakila Rasamurti Shamalila Avalambam Madhura Rasadi Sri Radha Padam Padmam Prapadye. Saying, although her name is not mentioned there, every step of the way, every sloka, every story, anything you're being told there is meant to take you in one direction. And what is that? The service of her holy lotus feet. That is the secret to Krishna conception. The Bhagavatam is the book about Krishna. Prabhupada even called the 10th canto the Krishna book, in case we didn't get it. This is the book about Krishna. It's the book of Krishna. And what's the secret to devotion to Krishna? Is that it's all being transacted through her. Without her, you have no real Krishna. And that song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what is it? Radha Bhajani, something, no, Nati Relo, where he says, if your Krishna bhajan does not culminate in Radha bhajan, you're wasting your time in the name of the pursuit of Krishna consciousness. So, Guru is saying, Shama Lila Avalambam, the whole Madhura Rasa pastimes are dependent upon her. So you please accept this garland, because I Hare Krishna. Dandavat Hare Krishna. Yes. Dandavat Prabhu, Sanatan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. He's carrying on the line of Goswami Maharaj. He heard us praising I'm Goswami Maharaj, praising Goswami Maharaj. We draw one of his followers from his divine domain. Hare Krishna. And we have Mahananda, Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj.
Dasano.
Mahananda is still inside, actually. If you look with scrutiny, you can see like Mahananda peeping sometimes.
Maharaj is all Mahananda. You put the Madhusudan covering over the top.
So Guru is saying, this sloka, it's so beautiful, is saying, the Bhagavatam, which is the book of Krishna, it's all about her. Because from her, you don't get any superior quality or quantity of Krishna then through Srimati Radha-rani, therefore she's known as Krishna Moyi. And Guru Maharaj said, to what extent? As if where she cast her glance, Krishna must appear. That is her ability. She can cast her glance and Krishna must appear. What is the evidence for that? That like this leaving, didn't only happen once. So the gopis, they're madly searching for Krishna, the search for Sri Krishna, reality of the beautiful. And they'll say, oh, there's Krishna in the Kunj over there. We can see him. And they, like we want to go to Seva Kunj later, they go running there. But Krishna is very naughty and tricky, and Vishwanath tells us, he knows that your heart is capable of more, and it's more likely to come out in separation. That's why he does. It's not that he's cruel, but he's addicted to a particular quality of love that only really appears in the heart in the depths of separation. So he needs to plunge his devotees into the depths of separation so that that superior yield of Krishna Prem that he's addicted to will appear. So in this instance, they say, oh, there's Krishna. They go running and Krishna, so he pushes out two more arms and becomes Narayan or Vishnu or Vaikuntha. And when these Braja Gopis come and they see it, they're like, Om Namo Narayan. They can't, the Rupa Goswami says, Rago Daya Kunchiti. Their rag, their natural flow of heart is like crushed. And they can't conceal their disappointment. And think about this. This is Narayan, Vishnu, who's also inconceivably beautiful and divine, and they're disappointed. It's to tell us that there's something very special inside. But then they're thinking, but wait, Narayan, you're omniscient. You know everything. Do you know where Krishna is? Can you help us? So, but then we're told the same trick Krishna wants to play on Radha-rani. So she comes, finds Krishna, and he's going to push out the two other arms, become four-armed, right? And what happened is the other two arms go back inside. He can only be Krishna in her presence. Her vision, her Krishna vision is so intense, he can't be anything but Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, who is the original Supreme Personality of God. So, as the gopis are following the footprints, they say, this most fortunate gopi, they won't vibrate her name. Here, people casually taking the name of Radharani, Guru Maharaj does not want us to do that. And for various reasons I may mention later. But, so, here, how delicately and cautiously this is being dealt with. They just keep saying, the most fortunate one. One gopi who has the supreme fortune, he went with her. And then they see their footprints together, and then they see no longer her footprints. And they're saying, oh, she must have said, I'm tired from all the singing and dancing, and if you want to go further, you have to carry me. Because now we only see Krishna's footprints. So then he must have been carrying her, and then he carried her someplace and sat her down, and we're told, Vedavyasa, at that time, Radharani has her eyes closed and she thinks, is there anyone more fortunate than me? Look what he did. He left those billion gopis to come for me. I'm the most fortunate. I can't believe I have such good fortune. And when she opens her eyes, Krishna has vanished. Who can understand him? Guru Maharaj can understand. So this disciple of Saraswati Thakur, alluding to this, says, why does he do this to Radharani? You know, it's unfathomable, and it doesn't make us feel wonderful, right, to hear. But when he asked Saraswati Thakur, what about this? Guru Maharaj said, Saraswati Thakur became furious. He's such an exclusive devotee of Radha-rani, he couldn't tolerate even hearing this, although it's in the pages of the Bhagavatam. And he said, why have you introduced this? There is no devotion to be found there. And then everyone understood, drop it, don't pursue this, you're upsetting Guru Maharaj. And they continued on in their parikrama. And so, but Srila Guru Maharaj, ever the perfect assistant, servitor of Srila Saraswati Thakur, he thought, we know, like Gurudev will say, we know Radharani, she must be always in the supreme, in the primary position. So even in this instance, this shows you the quality of faith of Srila Guru Maharaj. He knows even in this instance, it must be an example of how she's superior. What appears on the surface to be some disregard or diminishing of her, he said, no, this must be an example, not something that we can just adjust, but it must be an example of how she's in the most superior position. So then reading Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Guru said, Krishna, he finds that Krishna says he's in this interaction between them, and we hear of this in the pages of the Charitamritam I alluded to earlier today. Krishna's Rasa-raj, that means he's ecstasy personified. He's Akhila Rasamrita Murti. He's an ocean of rasa who can reciprocate every atom of every soul's hankering simultaneously. That's his default position, right? But that Krishna, when he's engaged in loving exchange with Srimati Radharani, he's thinking, although I'm ecstasy personified, it appears to me that what she's experiencing is not only greater than what I'm experiencing, but 10 million times greater than what I'm experiencing. So he's astonished. And all of this is consistent if you follow the thread in Charitamritam. So Rupa Goswami says in his Chaitanyastakam, Aparam kasyapi pranay janamrindasya kutuki rasotstamam ritvam adaram upabhoktam kamapiya rucham swam avavre dutim iha tadiyam sat chaitanya devaskitir ati na kripayatu, saying that surveying all these gopis, kutuki means it awakened the curiosity in him. Radharani, what it is like to be her. What Ritva Madhuram. When we heard Guru Maharaj say he plunders the wealth by stealing her heart, I have to think like, I believe Guru Maharaj says that, I know it's true and perfect, but what if someone says to me, Srila Maharaj says this, where does it say that? Well, it says in the Chaitanyastakam of Srila Rupa Goswami, as quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and the foundational slokas of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hare Krishna. I rest my case.
Hare Krishna.
Not entirely. so then Krishna's thinking, I can only understand this theoretically, I can't experience it. It's clear to me that is her position, but I want to experience it. What it's like to be her, not just some theoretical understanding about her, Radha Tattva. I want to feel what it's like to be her. This is inconceivable. There's no other religion or scripture where anything remotely like this is alluded to or described. So then, and when Radharani gets hints of that, she's thinking that he won't be able to handle it. Right? She's thinking, oh, she knows what it's like when she's feeling separation from Krishna. The different ecstatic symptoms, what happens to her body, her divine form. And she's thinking, Krishna, who's so delicate, more delicate than the lotus flower, under the influence of my heart, so she says, so I will cover you. And whatever whatever be the outcome of these ecstatic experiences, I'll cushion that with my divine form. So, don't worry. So, that's why in the Ramananda Samvad, Remember, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when Mahaprabhu, what does he reveal to him? It says his Ishvara Murti. That means he reveals that he's God to him. That's not the case with Ramananda. You understand? No necessity of revealing his divinity to him. That's a given. So what does he reveal to Ramananda? Rasa-raj Mahabhav Duyakaru. But Rasa-raj Krishna and Mahabhav Swarupini Radha Thakurani have combined as one. When Ramananda says to him that, when they started the conversation, he saw a sannyasi sitting who was as bright as 10 million suns. Like 10 million suns dressed in saffron. And they're having a discussion. He's saying, but now I'm no longer seeing the sannyasi. He said, now I'm seeing Shama Goparup, the form of Krishna with the flute, Shama Sundar Krishna. And what does Mahaprabhu say to him? Like, oh, we've heard of the Mahabhagavata, Vaishnava, like Goswami Maharaj was just saying, wherever they cast their glance, they see Krishna. So when you see me, you're also seeing Krishna. Right? That's what he first tells Ramananda. And Ramananda says, no, my Lord, don't play with me like this. And that's not all I see. What I see Shama Sundar Krishna, the Shama Goparup. But also I'm seeing the golden form of a girl covering him. And that is bewildering me. And what does Mahaprabhu say? I cannot conceal myself from your divine loving eye, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. I can't hide myself from whom. Yes, whom you see, Rasa-raj Krishna, Mahabhav Swarupini Radha Thakurani, and see how they combine and mingle. Seeing that, Ramananda fainted, and when he awoke, again was the sannyasi before him. So, in this situation, Srila Guru Maharaj is informed of. So, what really happened is that Krishna, seeing her, and the effect his name has upon her, his fragrance, the sight of his inconceivably beautiful form, his thinking, if this is what it's like when we're together, when we're separated, what does she show when she's experiencing separation from me? So then he hides in the kunja and he begins to observe her. And what he sees is so astonishing and compelling. That's when he decides, and he's hiding here, that's when he decides, I will descend as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and experience, Radha, Krishna, Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kirdashobhana Eva. He will experience the Mahabhav Prem of Radha-rani that she alone experiences, the ecstasy that she experiences, the happiness that she experiences, and it's here that he made that decision. That's why it's of extra special significance. So how fortunate we are to come, sit beneath the Imlitala tree, hear these divine interpretations from Srila Guru Maharaj, at the temple of Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, and the place of Lila, various Leelas of Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Jai Sri Guru. Jai Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. The deities here?
Guru Gauranga Ganhava Gopinath
ki jai. Jai Savarika Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ju ki jai.
Also Nitai Chaitanya.
Nitai Chaitanya ki jai. Hare Krishna. What else? Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Seva Kunj ki jai.
Seva Kunj.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gop Govinda Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govindan ki jai. Shri Imlitala ki jai. Shri Navaditam ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Om Vishnupad Vishvavarena Stilhesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda ki jai, Jai Srila Bhakti Nirmala Charja Maharaj ki jai, Jai Srila Bhakti Bimala Avadut Maharaj ki jai, Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai, Sripad Bhakti Sai Gandhi Maharaj ki jai, Jai Sripad Bhakti Amrit Mahavir Maharaj ki jai, Seva Vrinda ki jai, Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande.
Jai Shri Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj ki jai.